Yes. How are you?
I was just going to grab a cup of coffee. I'm John.
Oh, hi.
No, it's not a problem.
No, I know I recognize your voice.
Oh, you did?
Yes, yes. And then plus, obviously you have a picture out there, so.
And I've got a booming voice.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I just want to clarify a few concerns that I have, okay?
Okay.
So, so when we spoke a few weeks ago, you had said that you lived in Windsor,
Yes.
that you were on your way back from Toronto. So just explain that whole thing to me.
Oh, nothing. It's just, I was just wrapping up some stuff in Toronto because I had some leftover things to do. Banking, things like that. So it was just minor stuff. And in regards to, because my husband bought me a car now. So,
Okay.
I'm trying to start a business. I haven't started it yet, but.
What kind of business is it?
I was looking at catering, but that's really hard to start. So I need a car.
My wife is a cook, and I've asked her I want to buy her one of those trucks.
Yeah.
And have her camp out at like Ford and Chrysler. Because she makes awesome.
That might be a good idea. That might be a good idea too, John. Because at this point, obviously you need a vehicle to get around. You can't be busing it, right? And since I'm, obviously I haven't lived in Windsor my whole life, it's harder for me to learn and to network. So aside from that, I'm just trying to start something and then see if there's anything that you can do for me if you can or cannot.
All right. So when we spoke on the phone, let me just pull up you had said that you are. So you moved in with your parents, from what I understand. So you and your husband now live with your parents?
Yes.
And
it's just temporary until we can get out on our own.
So when did you move from Toronto to here officially?
A couple of weeks before I spoke to you.
Okay.
So that's why I researched places here, because I would be here already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when someone goes through like a consumer proposal, you have to be here. You have to be actually reside in that place.
In the area, yeah.
Right, because there's trustees all over. We deal with Deloitte, MNP, BDO, bunch of other ones.
I've heard of Deloitte.
Well, they're
pretty big, the big guys.
Well, and what they do is, I don't know if you understand the process, but the trustee represents the creditors in this process in a consumer proposal.
Okay.
Most of the public, they don't realize this. If you do any research on the internet, most trustees, they don't even like us companies because
you're competition, right?
Well, we're not necessarily competition in a way. In a way we are, but what happens is when you walk into a trustee's office, you're actually talking to the creditor. They represent the creditors. And a trustee will not tell you this. In fact, I had a trustee that I had a meeting with in December, and she wanted to know what we did. So I explained, I said, I'm sitting across from her desk, and I said, well, you represent the creditors, and I would represent the debtor. And she said, what do you mean I represent the creditors? I'm a go-between between the creditors and the debtors. And I said, well, do you have the book Dealing with Debt, a consumer's guide? And she says, yeah, it's right behind you. So there was like a little cabinet. I pull out the booklet, and I'm looking through this, and I said, I give all my clients one of these booklets.
Oh, nice. And
because the process is overseen, you're going to get one, regardless of how you move forward in the process. But I always say, turn to page 16, and it talks about. I try to say when I approach someone, I always say, look, the creditors. This booklet talks about who a creditor is, who a debtor is, who a credit counselor is, but more importantly, in the consumer proposal or bankruptcy process, who a trustee in bankruptcy is.
Oh.
So it says a trustee in bankruptcy is a person licensed by the superintendent of bankruptcy to administer proposals in bankruptcies. The trustee represents your creditors and is an officer of the court.
Okay.
All right. So I'm telling her that the trustee represents the creditors, and she says, "Well, no, that's not right." She says, "You're just mincing words." And
but it is. It's just they don't say it directly, but it has to be because if you're working.
This is the office superintendent of bankruptcy they're the organization that issues their licenses.
Right.
So I said, well, you need to talk to the office because they're saying that you represent the creditors. I'm not mincing words. It says It does say, however, the trustee can give you information and advice about both the proposal and bankruptcy process and make sure that your rights as well as those of the creditors are respected.
Right.
Having respect for the creditors and the debtor is not the same as representing. If you and your husband were to file for a divorce, and let's say you were to go up to your husband's lawyer and say, I want you to represent me, legally he can't, because he's representing the interest of your husband. But in that process, at the same time, if you're not being represented, he has to respect your rights and let you know what your rights are in the divorce process. As a lawyer, he has to do that. Just as a trustee has to respect your rights in the process.
So a consultant like yourself kind of works like a lawyer with the legal aspect, even though you're not a lawyer.
Well,
because you know the insides and outs of the business, but you can...
I don't want to call myself a lawyer.
No.
Contract.
No.
And actually, funny thing is, I am actually going through a process.
I remember you saying you were studying to be a paralegal.
Yeah, I'm studying. I got 3 more classes to complete. I'm going to be done with my coursework at the end of December, and I take the exam in February.
And how's that going to impact your business?
As far as what?
Like being a paralegal, how can that help you?
Well, for me, during the course of the last year, one of the reasons why I wanted to get my license as a paralegal is that the Collection and Debt Settlement Service Act changed as of January 1st of this year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what happened was, I used to do debt settlement for clients from time to time, maybe a half a dozen a year. So what had happened was, I got contacted by the ministry, and they notified me saying that you now need to be registered as a collection agency. And you know what? I'm not going to be registered as a collection agency because everybody knows that when they're dealing with a collection agency, they're dealing with someone who represents the creditors.
Right.
They're like, no, we changed the meaning of a collection agency. It's now anyone who negotiates a settlement on behalf of another. And I said, it doesn't matter if you change the meaning. People are
still the same thing.
The stigma is still there.
Yeah.
Right? So
but you were in collections before that.
No.